Lancaster Coffee Hour number 205. That's just quite remarkable to me. How long you guys have all been doing this. Uh, I think I've mentioned this a couple times, but I'll do it again. Ernie Conover is going to be at the Lancaster uh, meeting place at Kaufman's Kitchen on June 22nd. Um, we have Ernie at the lathe on the Saturday, the 22nd. He's going to go from sharpening and safety all the way through the basics of turning bowls and spindles. And we currently have 13 people signed up for that. Day 2 is hands-on. We have room for 12, and right now we have 11 signed up. So if there's anybody in the vicinity of our meeting place in New Holland, we have room for one more. It's $25 for each day. So if anybody's interested, just let us know and bring $25 for each day that you plan to attend, if you plan to attend. Other than that, Jim, do you have any other announcements that I'm not aware of?
Not that I know. I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple ladies who are, I say ladies, they're in their 40s and 50s, who are interested. They visited my shop. They're my weekend neighbors across the way from. They come from New York. They want to get into turning, and I said, "Well, come by." But one of them lives south of Washington D.C. Does somebody know a club down in that area? I want to refer her to a club. She's the one that's most interested in turning, and they don't get over here very often, so they would. I don't know the clubs down there, and I think Bruce Lamb did, but I haven't seen him on here for a while. So
No, I haven't either.
Oh.
So about what area are they looking for?
Arlington area, south of Washington D.C.
Okay.
Send her to woodturner.org. Find a chapter.
Oh, thank you. Woodturner.org.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's the home site for the AAW.
All right. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but hey. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's see. Hands up. We have Don Smith. Don, you ready?
Yeah. I had a couple of pieces that I put into a competition and got highly commended. So I'd like to share a screen, if I may, just to show them to you.
Please.
If I can come up with it.
We see it.
Wow. You see it?
Yes.
It's a candelabra, as you can see. And I got highly commended for that at a recent wood turning show I went to.
That's beautiful. So tell us, how large is this, Don?
Well, I can do probably one better in a minute when I come out the chair, and I'll put it up on the camera because it's sat right beside me. It's about 13 inches tall, plus the ball, and depending how you look at it, because it is got 3 spars to it, as you can see, but if you take the 2 spars from here to here in a straight line, it's about 11 inches across.
And those candles look like you turned them, but I presume they're wax.
They are wax. Yeah, they are wax, Mike. It's made up of a base. From here to here is one piece. Then that top is another, the same as the other 3 candles. And then you got 3 stems there and your 3 hanging down at that point.
So there's like 9 or 10 pieces involved with that.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, about 10. Yeah. When I come out the show, I'll just hold it up in the camera and you can see it in real life.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that one?
Yeah, what is it red color or is that just a reflection off of the wax on top or whatever?
It's all mahogany,
Oh, okay.
and the light is reflecting onto the wood
Wood.
itself, giving that slight yellow glow.
Don, what kind of competition was this?
It's just a competition for wood turning. It was a club that has 3 or 4 clubs go to it for a yearly competition, and this one was, as I say, was highly commended for it
Very
against
nice.
other wood turners.
Well,
Hey, Don, that's a very unique design. What inspired that design for you?
I saw a photograph of it, no dimensions, nothing, just a photograph, and I sat down with the photograph and drew it up, literally piece by piece, until I came up with what I thought was the right size. And when I finished it and looked at it against the photograph, I couldn't believe how accurate it was.
Beautiful.
The other piece I entered was this one. It's been taken in the garden, but this was inspired a little bit by Toby with his colouring, but I've done it. It's a vase with some wooden flowers in it. And I've gone from dark blue up through greens and yellows to red on a vase. It's sitting in the garden because it was sold and I had to photograph it very quickly. So I put it in the garden and photographed it.
Don, how'd you apply the dye? Did you brush it? Did you spray it? Did you?
I brushed that on
Okay.
it's Mylan's spirit dye.
Oh, okay.
Mixed it up with methylated spirits, clear methylated spirits, not the mauve one.
And
how did you do the flowers, Don?
The flowers, that's all involuted turning. I have shown them before how I've turned them.
I thought so.
Yeah, but that's what they are. They're all smaller versions of ones I've done before.
That's beautiful.
And I bend the stems are ordinary little sticks you get from the garden centre, little green sticks that you put into plant pots when you're growing small plants in pots. And I put them into hot water, really hot water, started to bend them and then kept it with the steam from the kettle until I got it bent to come out so that this daffodil would look like a daffodil rather than a tulip, because daffodils aren't straight up, as you appreciate. They are bent. So that's on a bent one. And these are tulips, which are straight stemmed.
That's very unique.
So
And did you hollow that out with a Forstner bit or with tools?
tools.
Wow.
I used a Robert Sorby, forgotten the name of it. It's the one that's got the armrest on it. And it's got the stem, it's got an armrest so that you've got it controlled by your arm, and it's got the swan neck that you can get in and go down. And when I was doing it, of course, I had a light on the outside, making certain that, sorry, I turned the inside, and then when I come to the outside, the light was inside, a cool light, so that I could watch the shadow of the light as I went down to make certain I didn't come out too far.
Well, so it's not just a straight bore, it actually follows the form of the outside.
Or the
Pretty
outside
close.
follows the form of the inside, yes.
Right. And you're in the case of how you turned it, right?
Yeah. It's just purely, I set up a light in the tailstock, and the light then goes inside, and it's a cool light, not a hot light. Bulb doesn't get hot at all. And as you turn the outside, you can see the color of your light changing from, you know, reds to fairly whitish color, and then you know that you've got fairly fine until you get down to the where you want to get at the bottom.
That's pretty cool.
So that's one way to avoid cutting through, is to do the coring first and then cut the outside. I kind of like that technique. Yeah.
Yeah, you give yourself a bit of an idea on the outside. Turn some of the outside first to give you some idea of what you're looking for, because and then follow that one and then refine it to get your thinness of your vase. This was wet wood and I didn't want it to split, so I did it fairly thin. It was probably down to possibly less than 3/16, probably.
Wow.
Overall.
What kind of wood was this?
This was just an ordinary piece of wet ash.
Wet ash.
Yeah, I was looking to see if I could have enlarged it, but I can't see anywhere that I can enlarge it on the screen. It says here 24%.
You see the plus over
Does
there?
the plus sign
Go
work?
to the right.
Yeah, right there.
Try that.
There you go.
There you go. That better?
Yes.
Was that done with a green dye, or did you just blend the blue and the yellow to make it green?
No, it's done with blue. In fact, I'm telling you wrong, actually. I started from the top with red, then I put yellow on, which turned some of it orange. And as I came down, I put the green on, and then I finished off at the base with the blue. Painting it on as I went very gently. I was rather pleased with it myself. And again, it was highly commended with the candlestick at the same show, because you're allowed to put two pieces in.
Well, those are very nice work done.
Thank you very much. Now I'll come out of that and I'll just hold up. Hold on.
Take
Yeah.
the blur off your background.
I'm just going to take. How do we delete it now? I found out how to put it on. How do we delete it?
You go down and toggle it off under video. Just click on it.
Click on.
You see, select the video. The video on mine, it's on the bottom left corner. And in there's a bunch of choices.
No.
Use the little up arrow to make your selection.
The little carrot has a bunch of choices in it.
Integrated webcam.
If
Blur
it said,
my background.
I think choose virtual background. If you click on that, you can probably delete the virtual background.
No.
Yeah, when you choose virtual background, one of the options is none.
Right.
If you select none, then it turns it off.
Exactly.
No. No, I can't get back on it.
Yeah, now you got to hit your
Come on.
video again. There you go. Just hit it once.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, can't do it, but
That's a lovely piece.
That's nice work.
What'd you finish it with, Don?
it was with Milan's Tulon free wax after I put sander sealer on.
Oh, you put sanding sealer on it, then waxed it.
Yeah, cellulose sander sealer, buff that up with very soft cloth, and then wax it whilst on the lathe. Let the wax just take the tatchiness off the wax before you polish it, and then polish it all up nicely.
I assume you did that before you put the piece together.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I couldn't have turned it. Yeah. But no,
Don?
well, there we are. Thank you very much. But
Nice
that's
work.
Thank you.
Don, what do the letters FOB signify after your name?
The Forest of Beer Woodturners Association UK.
That's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful. That's our club name.
All
I
right,
see why you use FOB instead of the full name.
there you go.
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, well, thank you, Don.
No, thank you.
Let's go to Mike Lebo. Can't hear you.
Okay, I've got another two bowls that I made out of this sugar maple burl. This one's about 6 inches across and about 4 inches deep. Has some figure in it and some inclusions.
That's an
Turned very
understatement.
well.
Yeah.
This is just a smaller piece of it. It also has an inclusion. This
Wow.
one's about 3 inches across and about 1.5 inches deep. I just
Now, was
love
that-
burls.
Was that seasoned or was that wet?
It was fairly green when I got it, yes.
Nice. What finish is on it?
Actually, it's a spray lacquer.
Spray lacquer.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I
Find
have
your pieces very nice.
I have yet to even turn a burl. I'm looking forward to it someday.
I just turned another one, but I don't have the bowl here. It's from a southern live oak out of Florida. Turned out beautiful.
Well,
Maybe
very
next
nice.
time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, let me see here. I'm flipping around between screens here, and I've got somehow a double screen. So let me just give me a second.
We have Bert and we have Mike Peace with hands up if you're.
Yep. So Mike Peace.
Okay, I've got just a couple items. I made this disc vase, first time I've ever turned one. It's turned on several axes. You turn it this way to open this end up, and then you got to turn each end to get them to match. And it's got a little vase for buds. And I used some dye. I used black sanded back with red sanded back. We just touch up a little bit of yellow. I'm not sure I quite like the color. Wasn't quite what I was looking for, but man.
Mike, what kind of wood did you say that was?
This is a piece of very wet red oak. It was standing a couple of weeks ago, so I just took a chunk of it. And when I finished turning it, I ran it through the microwave 3 times, 30 seconds each, just to get rid of some of the moisture. I didn't go to the trouble of taking hours to get it completely dry, but enough where I felt like the outside was dry enough to accept the dye and the acrylic lacquer I put on it.
How did you hold it when you did the second side, Mike?
Yeah, the first time I was trying to use my vacuum chuck, but one side was chainsaw smooth, so it wouldn't seal. And then what I decided I could do was turn a very, very large tenon to fit my 5-inch jaws to hold it. Then I could do the other side. And when I did the other side, it was smooth enough that the vacuum chuck would hold it to get the other side. But there's other ways. Some folks will turn a glue block with a tenon on it and put a temporary glue with CA or a glue joint, and they'll glue that in the center. But my way worked out very well. I'll do that again because I don't have these big 6- and 7-inch jaws like some folks. I've gotten to turn these little tiny acorns. They're very addictive. They're more addictive than turning eggs because you can fill up a bowl full of them. This is a piece of, I think, cherry, and you can use a texturing tool. You can make of different sizes, different woods, dye them, texture them, and fill up a bowl with them. So they're kind of fun. It's something quick and easy to get in and out of if you only got a little bit of time in the shop.
Boxes or are they solid?
These are solid. I've made a lot of acorn boxes, but I was prompted by, I mentioned earlier, I had some trees taken down in my yard, and the lady, I showed her some of my wood turning, and she says, "Oh, I'd love to have a bowl full of acorns." And I thought, wow, that'd be expensive, because all I could think of was 2 pieces of wood in a box. And then I got thinking about it, and I thought, well, that's not really practical. Let me just start turning acorns. And I did some of them 2 pieces, and I thought, well, that's not practical. Just really concentrate on cranking them out and using metallic wax or dye or something of that nature to distinguish the top and the bottom. And they're fun. And then I like making boxes. This is a hard maple box.
That's not threaded, right? That's just.
No, this is just a standard slip fit, pop fit.
Uh-huh.
That's all I got.
So for a second, hold up the acorn again. I just wanted to see the decoration and what have you. And you have a little, oh, you even have a little stem on the top of it, a little stem on the top.
Yeah, the trick is figuring out how to distinguish each one. You can use a spiraling tool, or in this case, I use the knurling tool for the texturing, or you could use a texturing wheel.
Right.
And then figure out, and it's hard to texture all the way up to the end, so I get a smooth surface and usually try to put a tiny little bead to separate them and frame it. And then you got to think about the different kind of designs for the stem. Some of them are cut at an angle. Some of them have a tiny bead. For the larger acorns, I actually make a little acorn on top going in the other direction. So, but they're fun.
So
So
do you have that in the jaws? Do you to do the texturing? How do you just get the jaws around that seam, if you will?
No, the looks like it's reversed. Yeah, this is the way I would hold it. Hold a piece of wood. Turn the round cylinder between centers. Put a tenon on it. Mount it in the chuck where you write on this side, and then just turn from the outside till you get here.
Ah.
That's the way I do it. I guess it's like turning eggs. You do the large end first, the small end. I guess it's kind of a personal preference.
Right. Okay.
Hey, Mike, the other piece you talked about the dye and you weren't quite happy with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not an expert in this, but sometimes I just take DNA after I have all 3 of them and soak and rub around, and it really blends the colors. I had success. I don't know if it was just luck one time doing that. And I try that technique. Now I know Toby goes at a different way. He really thins out his dye. I tend to do it heavy, look like you did. But then I often take DNA and just soak it on the outside and move it around. So
I think maybe my problem was the color of the red oak. I didn't bleach it or anything, and I think it took the red. I wanted more red, and it's kind of a pinkish burgundy kind of color. So I'm thinking it might have had something to do with the color of the red oak. If I bleached it, I might have gotten better results. I'll have to try that on another one.
I don't know.
I think the dye job. I think the dye job looks rich. I think it looks expensive.
It looks complex.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. That's exactly what I was trying to get at. I like the darkness of it, and I thought it had a nice blend. But it's video, and it's hard to see always the nuances. But you remember? I think I talked last week about Mateus rosé wine and the bottle the green bottle from back in our young days. I would like to try to turn one of those sometimes. And so, Mike, you're getting me in that category of the flat side, but I don't know how I'd put the neck on it. That would be another thing. So you're muted, Mike.
Thought I turned it off. If I was going to do that, I would use probably a lost wood technique. Make a sandwich with some scrap wood in the middle. and then remove the scrap wood and glue it together. So you have it more of an oval type of shape.
But you have a kind of oval there, don't you? I mean,
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't turn the Matus bottle the way I turn this, because it's a different object. It doesn't call for it.
okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. You have sharp edges on each opposite sides. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, may I ask about the sequence of turning you used with your disc vase?
Yeah.
So where did you hold it first? When it was was it a square board you started with?
Yeah. All will be revealed in the video on July 1st, but I started like this, and then I turned a tenon. I'm sorry, I cut out. I cut out. Let's see. I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, I put it like this, and turned the tenon.
Mm-hmm.
Then I chucked it with a tenon to do this.
Okay.
And then I took it to the bandsaw and cut it round and removed the tenon. Then I did it in this orientation again with the first set. I just used pressure up against it to make a large tenon, reversed it in the chuck. Did this shape, and then I was able to use my vacuum to remove the tenon and do this shape. And then the bottom, I did it against a belt sander. But I've seen other people, what they would describe is when they make their blank, they put a 1/2 inch scrap wood here, and they would actually use a screw chuck. And then when they finished, they would knock that piece loose, but they still wound up with a little hole in the bottom. They'd put a weight or something in. That just seems more trouble than the approach that I used.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Hey,
thanks.
Mike,
What thickness did you have in the beginning? 2 inches or?
2 inches, yeah, it's 2 inches by about 6 3/4. You get much bigger than say 7 inches, and you start having balance problems. The things you got to keep in mind is you've got to be able to have a base that will support it, so it won't be tippy. So it's got to be wide enough for that base. And then the other aspect is if you're using a test tube or something, you've got to allow for this, and you've got to allow for this removal, so you'll have, be able to handle whatever test tube size you've got. I just happen to have this one on hand, and it just barely fit.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Mike, what are you going to call that video when you finally post it? So how do we find it?
That would be a secret. You just go to my website. But it's going to be on July 1st.
You're going to have to look through one of Mike's 10,000 videos.
Oh my gosh.
It'll be the recent ones on July 1st, 4 p.m.
4 p.m. Thank you.
We did those as a project at one of our club meetings. And here's an example. And what we did in our case was we drilled the center so we could use a small set of pin jaws. And then after everything was turned, we put a medallion on it to cover up the hole in the center.
Clever. All right.
Cheryl, what's the decoration? How's it done? What's the decor? Is that a chisel or is
it's wood burn?
Oh, okay. And holes or just burned? You just burned the holes.
Just burned. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Pornography.
Nice.
Yeah, your approach is similar to the one where folks are making a canteen.
Could be. I'm not
Yeah. Yeah. A similar shape, but you've got to put a tenon and a good chuck hold on the side to be able to open up and shape that other side. Need to make a recess for a medallion on the other side, and then you use that recess to get the other side to make a recess for a medallion. Yeah.
Can you hold that up one more time? I want to see the edges on it. So you round, that's okay. That's not sharp edges like Mike's was.
No, mine's,
Okay.
you're looking at this
Yep.
profile. Yes.
That's what I was wanting to see.
All right, give you an example of what we mass produced these. I took boards, they were probably 1.25 inches in thickness, and laid out the diameter, drilled 3 holes. One hole, I'll hold this up here, where you see the half a hole. Half the hole was in one side of the board and half was in another end of the board. Drilled it one time, so I get 2 pieces out of it with half a hole, and then also drilled the hole for the medallion. They were all the same size. I think they're about 1.25 inches. And that way, then all I did was take it to the bandsaw around it and cut the half a hole, left it in one side and half a hole on the other side of the board. So one board makes 2 pieces.
Cool. All right. Toby.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm going to share screen here. I think. There we go. Seen that one?
Yes, sir.
This is box elder. And let's see what size it is. 5x4. Different view. I did a little bit of dyeing on this to change the color. That's a little bit of spalting. That's what gave it the off color, and some figure in there also. The natural edge around the top. Here, the red flame in the bottom. I did go over that initially with red dye, and then put probably a real light coat of blue over top of everything. Yeah, you can of course sort of see the blue down here in the lower left.
Yep.
But it just came out a different color on the rest of the piece because of the underlying color of the wood.
Was that fresh box elder?
No, this was dry, this piece. I got
Toby, are you going into a lightly dyed phase, or what's going on?
yeah, a little sometimes, yeah. I think I probably did too many dark ones, and I wasn't happy with it, so I went the other extreme here.
Toby's in his light blue phase.
Yeah. There's the bottom of it. There's a bunch of bug holes in there also.
That's pretty cool. Nice.
And this one, I don't know if you remember, I did some wisteria a while back. This is another piece.
Wow.
Size on that, Dobie? Size? Diameter?
This is 5 inches by 3 inches.
Okay.
And if you see where the pith is here, because it's
Yeah.
a vine, this is the pith and that's the edge of the one side. So the other side was really large compared, it was real off center.
That is fascinating.
I asked you about the size because I've never seen wisteria that large. Maybe that's my limitation of visiting it. My wife does not love wisteria. She thinks it's a weed in the flower bed. So
They do sort of spring up everywhere.
yeah, they do.
This wasn't mine. Someone brought me a couple pieces that they cut theirs down. I think this was kind of running up a pole or something. That's why the pith was off center so much.
It almost looks like it's a seashell or something. That grain.
Yeah, and it had some spalding in it, this black color. So I think putting the red in it made the black stand out a lot more than it did naturally.
That's a fascinating piece.
Did you run the red dye
Let me see
over top the live edge, or you protected it?
I just brush it on, and I just go up near the edge, and then it sort of migrates out to where the bark is, and the bark is so porous that it just soaks up the dye and it doesn't even show. So it's pretty easy to get close to the edge and make it look decent.
That's a cool piece. So she gave you one piece of wisteria, or do you have other pieces?
There were two long pieces. They were all about 5 or 6 inches in diameter.
That's big.
Odd shapes, they weren't round. And yeah, I still have more of it to do if I want to.
That's
There's
cool.
the inside of it.
Toby, sometime you need to show us your wood yard. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I could do that. I could go out to the shed, but it's it's like everything, like my shop. It's a mess. But then, you know, that's the way I work.
Yeah.
So why not show it?
All right.
There's
Okay,
the
well,
bottom.
thank you.
Well, I got one more here. This
Oh,
is
okay.
another light here.
Light blue.
Light blue. This is maple. It's a little darker on the inside. I didn't put any more on the inside. It just came out darker for some reason.
About how tall is it, Toby?
This one is 9 inches tall, 5 inches across.
That's very elegant.
And what kind of device did you use to hollow out 9 inches deep?
I knew you would ask that.
Unpredictable.
A gigantic Forstner bit.
Actually, I use a 5/8 inch bowl gouge.
Really?
Really?
Yep.
What kind of handle do you have on it to get that deep into the
It's just a normal gouge. It's
Wow.
I use the Ellsworth.
Right?
And I have a low profile tool rest. It sticks down in there about 3 or 4 inches. So I really only have to extend, which is about as far as I can go, this 9 inches. Another 4 or 5 inches out the end to get to the bottom of it.
Those what do they call them? Box rest or whatever, flat piece of metal about 2 inches wide by whatever depth, right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, you could use that, but I was using a robust low profile.
Oh, I didn't know what
It's
you're
only
talking
about 1 1/4 inches high, and it'll stick way down in there without hitting the rim here.
I
It's
love
the neck of it almost looks like it's been stretched from the base, just pulled out of it.
Oh, yeah. Because of these striations going down through here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's all I have.
And was that piece dry, seasoned, or was that?
This was dry also. About 3 or 4 years ago, I got a truckload of burl from a woman whose husband had died. He was a wood turner, and she had this wood up in the above the garage for a number of years, and she finally found me, and I went and purchased it from her. So I've been working on that yet. I still have a number of pieces left.
Nice.
But the tree must have been all burled.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Toby. Is that it?
Yep, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Bert.
Yes. Okay. A friend of
morning.
ours, we go for breakfast on a Tuesday morning, a bunch of us woodturners and friends, and one of our friends joined us for breakfast, and he looked at the special and ordered the special for breakfast, and it had mushrooms and whatever. It had 2 ingredients that he didn't really like, but he didn't think about it, and so he asked the waitress to not put, I think it was broccoli or something. Said, don't put any broccoli in. And so she accommodated him, but she doubled up on the mushrooms. And little unbeknownst to us, he absolutely hated mushrooms. So when she brought the food out to him, he had this great big pile of mushrooms. And so we all had a good laugh. It was hilarious, and we've never let him forget it. So he's having his 85th birthday here in a week or so. Next Tuesday, when we go for breakfast, this is what I'm going to give him.
That's priceless.
Yeah, we thought it was pretty good. So it's like Bert Featherstone, 85 years young, and so that's what we're going to give him for just as a lark.
That's pretty cute.
Yeah, and it was fun. The other thing I got going on here is this is a stand that is I got inspired by Ashley Harwood many years ago, and I followed the instructions. But if you touch it, it falls over, and so even though it's got a weight in there like the original instructions suggest, it's just a little bit light. And then I went back and tried to figure out why. And Ashley was making sea urchin ornaments, which are really, really light, so that it worked. So
Yeah.
when I'm using my lanterns, I thought I had to come up with a little bit of a modification. So I made them a little bit bigger. And now when I push this thing back and forth, you can give it a pretty good hit, and it doesn't fall over.
Wow.
And what I ended up doing was I increased the diameter by I start with a block of wood that's at least 3 inches in diameter. This one here was 2.5 inches in diameter when I started, which is what she recommended. So I started with 3 inches in diameter, and then when I drilled the hole, instead of using a 5/8 hole, I drilled a 3/4 inch hole, and then I filled the 3/4 inch hole with lead. And then to seal the lead, I put another little disc on the bottom, and that gives us about a full 3-inch circle, which really, really increased the stability. And so that's what I'm making now. The next question I had is the angle. So this one here, I don't know if you can see it on the camera.
Yes.
This, let's see if I can get these so you can see them together. This one is at 20 degrees, and this one's at 15 degrees. And I'm not sure which one looks best. I don't know if you guys can see the angle on them. With if I hang these on here, we might be able to get a relationship. But
pull it towards you just a little bit. Pull it towards you just a little bit. There you go. Oh,
okay.
that's
This one too?
yeah,
bit,
so
yeah.
you can see the angle.
Okay, so the angle, this angle is like this, and this angle is a little bit steeper. And I'm kind of torn between the two. I kind of like this one because the wire then kind of flows in the 20-degree angle, and this one here, it looks like a little bit of a kink in order to get this to be on center. But I don't know if one's any better than the other.
Well, I agree. I like the angled one, not only for that reason, Bert, but because to counterbalance the more severe angle, you also get to push the hook farther to the other side, and the piece almost hangs a little bit more free of the base.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I see what you mean. So the distance here is a little bit more distance, and here it's a little bit tighter. So
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah, because if I move this over to straighten that out, now I'm risking getting a little bit of instability that way.
Exactly.
Hey, switch the lanterns if you can. I want to see the other lantern on this one. I like the angle one. I'm like John. I like the angle. I just want to see what that other. Oh no, I see. That's not proportioned right. I can see that now. Okay.
But
yeah,
you
this
also,
lantern's quite a bit bigger than this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also with any of them, I suppose, but you're not limited to the size of your wire. You could make your wire on the angled one go out farther and curve around even more to the other side and accommodate larger pieces.
Yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, yeah. I guess my question though is what is more aesthetically pleasing just from regardless of what's on it is the wire and the angle. Which angle seems to be more aesthetically pleasing to the eye?
The larger
this one here is 20 degrees. This one's 15.
The one where you've got the one where you've got that continuous line, the
Yes.
eye where the eye doesn't interrupt is way better as far as I'm concerned. You
Okay,
know.
yeah. So this one here, because it comes
Yes.
up with one smooth flow. Okay, that's kind of
Absolutely.
where I was leaning too. But I thought I'd throw it out there and just see if there was other comments, because
We can do a show of hands. 15 degrees, 20 degrees. I think 20 has it.
Okay, no, that's kind of where I was going. So I was going to make another one at 25 degrees, but when I looked at 25 degrees, it would be coming off quite a bit further off the center line here. When I was looking at these, I was kind of lining up this point here with the edge of the base, and kind of thinking of the same here. This one isn't quite lined up with the base, so yeah, I have to agree. I think 20 degrees is what I'll go forward with.
I think the kink that you see is an interruption, and you want to be looking at the piece, not at the flaw, or I wouldn't call it a flaw, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically having it, even if I was staying with this one, there shouldn't be a kink right here at the joint. It should be
Yeah,
a continuous loop.
my eye went right to that kink as soon as I saw that.
Good. Okay, so I'm on the right track. That's exactly what I was thinking as well. And I'd have to modify this end of the hook because now this thing is way off center, even though it'll still hang, but the center of the lantern now is not even anywhere as close to the post.
Yeah, it's kind of like the hook tool, the John Jordan, where the hook puts the cutter directly in line with the bar, where some of them are off, so you get some torque.
Right.
So it's
Okay. Yeah.
It looks
So-
like the curvature of the wire is quite different. Too.
What's that?
Looks like the curvature of the wire is different, and that may be having an impact.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's
Radius is meant to be different.
I've made a number of those various types and never had real good luck because they took so long, and I wound up getting a bunch of these things from Amazon. If you sell ornaments, this kicks up the value of the ornament very quickly, and they're only like $1.50. And I just found the stands for me weren't that much fun and weren't worth the time and effort when you could just get these things for $1.50 and give them away or sell them with the ornament for a year-round display.
Yeah, and that's the reason I started making them, is that some people were saying they didn't want to have to hide this thing away for the for the year. I mean, it's a Christmas ornament, or that's what I'm giving them at Christmas time, but they said, well, they'd like to see them all year long. So I thought, well, I bet I'll make some stands for the people that like to have them on a bench or a table or a desk or something.
Yeah, stand really increases the value, I think, of the gift or purchase for an ornament.
Okay, that's a good point. And for these, it's a perceived value because I don't sell them. I give them away. So I guess the perceived value when you give a gift that looks like it has a higher perceived value is pretty good too.
Yep.
Hey Bert, humor me for just a couple seconds. How do you turn that angle? What's the secret? How do you turn that off centered or whatever?
So basically, you turn this as a block. You start with a
pull it down lower. Yeah.
You start with a cone, just a block of wood, and turn it round, and then you turn the cone. There's a chuck on this end, and then once you've got this curve turned, then I take the chuck and everything over to my bandsaw, mount it on my bandsaw cutting jig, and it sits on the miter guide on an angle, clamps it to the miter guide, turns to the angle I want, run it through the bandsaw, makes this cut, and you throw the little piece away, and the hole is still drilled in the center where I put the lead in. And then I don't like having lead just glued and visible, so I cut another little disc just to glue on the bottom to seal in whatever's inside. There's a 3/4 inch hole running about 1.5 inches in this, so this base actually weighs about 100 grams.
So it is, you turn it as a cone, but you do, to use Sarah's term, you do a oblique cut on the bottom to get it to lean.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, that looks a lot easier than I was imagining it. So
yeah, and that's where was it you that did some cutting on the bandsaw last week or the week before?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I've got a dedicated jig now. I made another dedicated jig that's just for cutting angles that I can clamp it to my miter guide on my bandsaw, and then I can put it whatever angle and I run it through, and the chuck is held and the wood's held in the chuck, and my fingers are a long ways away.
One last question. What's that wood on the lantern?
Oh, this one here is Caragana.
Okay.
So it's got some dramatic color. It's purples and browns and reds and whites and yellows. It's an amazing wood.
That's
Okay.
cool.
Then the last thing I got here is a lady. I make some yarn caddies for crocheters and knitters, and they just usually sit on a table like this, and they swivel, so it's a multiple piece. But these ladies said they want to take their knitting for a walk, and they needed something that they could carry their wool with. So one of the ladies is making a wristband that will fit in this split ring. We take this claw off here, and this is 2 pieces. So this is just a little disc. Stick this through. The ladies would put their ball of wool on here. And of course, this would have a wristband on it. And they clip the lobster claw in here. So this would hang from their wrist. And as they're walking along, this swivels. And so they can knit as they're moving. And one of the ladies has her husband and her have a tandem bicycle. And so we're going to set the cameras up, and she's going to be sitting on the back seat knitting while he's pedaling.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And as, like I say, it was one of these things that some lady said, well, we need one of these for when I go for a walk. And one of the ladies said, well, when she takes her grandkids to the play park, well, she's sitting on a bench with nothing to do. Well, something like this, she can sit there and crochet while the kids are playing on the park.
Well, I can understand that part, but I don't understand how somebody can knit while they're walking.
Well, that's because you're a guy and you can't walk and chew gum at the same time like these ladies can.
I hear that every day, Mike.
Exactly. But it's really fun when you get people are getting comfortable enough now to come up and just ask, say, can you possibly make something like this? And so I go back home and I try it. And sure enough, it was it's a simple project, right? But
Very clever.
This is only 3/8 of an inch thick. And when I was first making them, I found out that for every board I turn disc, I make 2 of these because I split it in half. So I get a 3/4 inch board, and then I have to be a little creative holding it. But there's a recess on one side, and every disc I make, I part it in half, so I end up with 2 bases. And it's a simple little spindle turning and a little bit of cross grain.
Well, you're going to have to share the video of the lady in the back
Yes.
of it.
Yeah. We're making a plan. There's a couple of ladies. The lady that's a collaboration. She's making the wristbands and the hangers or whatever it's going to be. And when she gets a few of those made, I've made 10 of them for her. So now she has to make 10 wristbands. And when she gets those made, we're going to get the cameras out and have a little bit of fun making a few videos. So it should be fun.
That's
Hey,
cool.
Bert,
What I want to see,
Go
what I
ahead.
want to see, Bert, is both ladies knitting one on the tandem bike.
That'll be a short ride, Doug. That'll be a short ride.
Yeah.
All
Hey,
right.
Bert, you just reminded me of my professional days when I was managing an audio video store. You say project, we say project. And Project was a company that made turntables that we sold. It was during the heyday of turntable comeback. And I thought of it again when you said it, Project, and I would say project. So go.
That's funny. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bert.
Okay.
Okay, Max.
Okay, very quickly back to the heart base that Mike was showing. In AAW magazine in February of this year's issue, Michael Anderson had very detailed instructions on how he turns one of those. So at our March meeting, 3 of us showed up with our version of that heart base. But to answer the question, if you don't have a vacuum chuck, once you've turned the one side smooth, you create a friction drive that's contoured to match that shape. Turn it around, use your tail center on the tenon that's left, and turn that down just like you would a bowl. and you end up with a small nub to sand off. And that's how you can do it without a vacuum chuck.
Okay.
But anyway, February 24, it's about a 6 or 7 page article. He's got his detailed instructions. If you get the AAW.
February 24th, AAW magazine,
Yeah, February 2024.
2024. That's what I meant.
Yeah, called Turn a Heart on Two Axes. Anyway,
Okay.
that's all I had.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't see any other hands up. But people usually aren't at a loss for discussion topics.
John,
Sir,
I couldn't turn off my back screen, could I?
still on.
Yeah, I know. I've now found out, for anybody else that wants to know, if you turn on the app, it comes up with a window, apps, and it's across the top, it says My Apps, Add Apps. And it says close all. Where's that gone? I found it just now. There was 3 little dots. And I clicked on those 3 little dots and it asked you whether you wanted to keep it, change it, or whatever. And I'm just trying to find where those 3 little dots are. Oh, there they are. If you hit on the virtual background, and then it says search pixels, and right next door is a little square with 3 dots. If you click on that, it then says set to previous, none, or blur. If you hit none, and it comes up with a virtual background wants to reset your virtual background to none. If you click on allow, it takes it off.
So you got it set up now.
Yep, it's so when you go into the apps on the bottom of your screen, along the
right next to share.
toolbar, on your toolbar, it brings up this window which says virtual backgrounds. Go into virtual backgrounds, and it comes up with this little box with 3 little dots on, and you click on that and you can take off your virtual screen. If you want to put it back on again, you just click the picture and set background.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
that's where it is. It's in the window of virtual backgrounds.
Right. Thank you. Max, did you re-raise your hand?
Sorry, I didn't take it down.
Oh, okay.
Ken's got his hand up.
Yes, he does. Ken, what's up?
Hey there, we had just a little short one since we have time. We had our club picnic, the Nitty Valley Woodturner Club picnic last Saturday, and I took a page out of your book and we had a flying object competition. So I just thought I'd show you what I made. It's, of course, it's a Frisbee, and it was actually quite a challenge because if I didn't like it as a Frisbee, I wanted to use it as a little platter. So I made it. I started out with a screw check. It was a 2-inch piece, and this is what I came down to.
What kind of wood is it? What kind of wood, Ken?
It's it's a soft maple. That's when I got it. It just said soft maple.
Right.
But it flies really well. It's way too heavy. I
Yeah.
had to put the rings in for gripping. I had to put rings in both sides. So I would turn it for a while and I'd take it outside and throw it and see how heavy it was and how bad it flew. But when we got to the competition, it did better than I did. The winner of the competition had a smaller one and he flew his like crazy. But then he flew mine and it went just as far as his did. So I was happy with that. I think it's more that he was 6'3" and I'm only 6 foot. And he's
So it's the
20 years younger.
It's the thrower. It's not the piece of wood. It's not the Frisbee.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. But it came out really sweet. It has a real nice finish on it. I was real happy with it. And Mike Lebo, who's on the line here too, his looked really good. But at the end of the picnic, he burned his.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to talk to Mike about that. I can't figure that out.
Sacrificial.
It went up in flames.
That's hilarious.
Ken, you need to figure a contest of how you could launch them from the lathe, you know, flying objects from a lathe, you know.
I've done that way too often.
Just ask
vertical
Bertie, he'll
throw.
show you how to do that.
Yeah, that's on video.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, we happen to have our flying object competition coming up for July's meeting. Last year Barry actually won it, but he had turned a opened disc. It really, it was like a ring, and he threw it furthest. But because he declared that he hadn't said that that was legal ahead of time, he didn't accept the victory. So this year, I think it's open. Anything goes. There's no rules. So we'll see what happens.
Do you have launching devices? Can you use any kind of launching devices?
Well, I suppose we could, but we haven't thought about that yet.
Well, we have somebody who wants to do a trebuchet.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
somebody actually threw a ball too. We had a ball thrown. It went
Well, I
pretty
can
far.
see a trebuchet throwing a ball, but I don't know how a trebuchet is going to fling a disc. It's going to launch it vertically. I guess you could set them up horizontally. It sounds dangerous.
You get one of those launchers for the clay pigeon
Exactly.
launcher.
Exactly.
That'll.
Well, Doug, you'll have to. Doug, you develop things. You can bring that to July's contest.
What, a clay pigeon launcher?
For your frisbee. Yeah, for your frisbee.
I think I'll just bring a clay pigeon or something like that instead.
Well, with that, it's 11 o'clock. So thank everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, fine. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Take care.
Thanks for leaving,
Doug.
John.
Yeah.
Well done.
You'll
Take care.
clap on it.
Bye, everyone.
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.